Hello YouTube friends, it's Annette here. I have not been on in quite some time, but I had some time today to make a video. I am making chicken gnocchi soup tonight for dinner, so I thought I'd show you guys how I do that. It's a Olive Garden copycat recipe, but also whenever I make a recipe, I use what I have. So I have some boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I'm gonna poach for the meat. I'm going to use the scraps of the vegetables that I just cleaned up. I'm going to rinse them very well and put them in some water with some seasonings and make a light veggie broth that I'm going to use to poach the chicken. And then I'll use that same broth for the soup. And then those are the cleaned up veggies. I have an onion, I have some carrots, I have some celery, and I have a couple parsnips. Parsnips are not usually in the recipe. They have a pretty similar flavor to carrots, maybe a little sweeter and a little more intense. They're used in British cooking a lot, but we don't use them as much over here in the US, but I do like the flavor, and I'm able to get them at my gleaning organization sometimes, so I'm going to go ahead and use those also in my soup. I will show you everything after it's all diced up when we're about to make it, but I wanted to start with this. I'm not going to waste those veggie scraps. I'm going to wash them up really well in a colander, put them in some water with some bay leaves and other seasonings, and make a vegetable broth. We'll be back when it's time to poach the chicken. We're back to poach the chicken. I wanted to let you know that I put some of that minced garlic, some of that chicken broth concentrate, and just a little bit of the Knorr liquid seasoning into my broth. Here's what it looks like. I put the vegetable scraps in there. I added the seasonings, some bay leaves, and some garlic herb seasoning, and that's the color. I just wanted to use the white spoon so you could see what it looks like. It's a nice rich color. And I'm going to use this liquid to poach the chicken, and then it will also be the same broth we use for the soup base. There's the chicken that we picked up yesterday, actually. At our grocery outlet, we had some chicken that was reduced for quick sale. It's actually not thighs, it's leg meat, but it's boneless, skinless. And it worked out to be $1.91 a pound. I did the math. We got 2 family packs that were each $6 off. And so I distributed it between this meal and 2 other meals that I put that chicken in the freezer. So it got put in the freezer right away. It'll be good to go when we need it. It's dark meat, just like boneless, skinless thighs would be. And I'm not really worried about trimming it up too much. Some of the fat will melt into the broth. It will give it better flavor. If there's anything I need to cut off when I chop it up for the soup, that'll be fine. I just wanted to show you guys that. So I'm going to put that chicken in that broth and let it poach. And then I also got all of my vegetables chopped up. A lot of times this soup uses matchstick carrots. I'm not going to buy special carrots for soup, so I just chop everything up pretty small. And that's the onion, carrot, parsnip, and celery, all chopped up for the soup. So I will get this chicken going in that pot, and when it is poached, I will show you what the cooked chicken looks like. We'll get that all cut up, and then I'll show you the next steps to the soup. Here's our chicken all poached. It might be easier to see now that it's cooked that it is the thigh and the leg with the skin and bone removed. That's just how they sell these dark meat, boneless, skinless packages at our grocery outlet. It's just fine with me, especially for the price. $1.91 a pound is an excellent price in my area. If you had boneless, skinless chicken breasts, you could use those also. I find that breast meat is sometimes a little bit dry, so I prefer the dark meat if I can get it on a good deal, but if I didn't have it, I'd use breast meat, and I've used rotisserie chicken for this in the past. I actually love to make soup with rotisserie chicken, especially the Costco ones. They're $5, You can make bone broth and make multiple meals from one chicken. They're amazing. But this is what I had, so this is what I'm using. And then that looks gross, but that's the foam and bits of chicken that come off when you're poaching. So I just use that fine mesh spider to get as much of it out as I could. And then there is our broth. It still has some little bits in it and stuff, but it's okay. It is going to have a roux and some half and half added to it. You could do cream if you had cream, but I have half and half, so that's what I'm using. It's going to be a creamy soup, so you won't even notice those little bits of chicken in there. If you wanted it extra clear, you could run it through a cheesecloth in a colander if you felt like you needed to. And then we will be back. I'll show you how I'm going to saute the vegetables and make the roux, and then add it to the broth. I will show the chicken cut up after it cools off a little bit, and I'll show you the other ingredients you need for this soup. It's some gnocchi and some half and half, some butter, some flour, and some kind of spinach. I'm using fresh, but you could use frozen or even canned. It's just going to be very soft, but you use what you got. So I'll be back when it's time to put more of this soup together. Okay, everybody, I have a half a stick of butter in the pan. I'm going to melt it, and I'm going to saute the vegetables that are back there. There's our diced cooked chicken. I probably made about 3 to 4 cups of chicken. So if you wanted to use rotisserie chicken or some other kind of chicken, you could do that. I'm using a separate pan because I want to saute and sweat down those vegetables a little bit in the butter, and then I'm going to use that to make a roux. I'm going to add some of this flour right here, and that will thicken up our broth a little bit. If you didn't want to do that step, you could put the vegetables in the broth and then add some flour to your cream or your half and half when you add it. Just make sure it's well dissolved into the half and half of the cream. Okay, so I'm sauteing up the vegetables in that 1/4 cup of butter. I'm going to add in some seasonings. I'll tell you what's in here. There is a teaspoon of parsley, a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, a half teaspoon of thyme, a teaspoon of an all-purpose Italian kind of like seasoned salt. There is a teaspoon of granulated garlic, a teaspoon of granulated onion, and a half teaspoon of black pepper. I'm going to go ahead and add that right into the vegetables. I'm going to stir that around a bit, and then in just a little bit I'll add the flour. Alright, I've let those herbs and spices saute in there for a little bit, and I'm going to add approximately 1/4 cup of flour. I'm not getting out a measuring cup or being super precise, just enough to give a little body to the broth and thicken it up a little bit. It's not a very thick cream soup, but you do want it to have a little bit of thickness to the broth. So the roux has cooked in a little bit, so the raw flour taste will be out of it. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some of the broth because I want to deglaze the bottom of this pan. And then I'm going to add the whole thing into the soup broth and let the vegetables continue to get soft. And then after the veggies are soft, we'll add in the gnocchi and the cream, or the half and half or the cream, whatever you're using, and the chicken. So I'm going to stir this around a bit, get all the bits off the bottom, let that thicken up a little bit, and then I'll add it to the pan of broth. I'm probably going to have to do that off camera because I do not have a tripod right now, so I will add that in just a minute. to this pot and I'll bring you back. I have added the vegetables and the roux into the broth. I'm going to bring that up to a simmer. Probably let it simmer for 15-20 minutes. Make sure the vegetables are very soft. Sorry, the lighting in here is not the best. Sometimes our overhead light for our stove is not working. Then I'm going to add 2 containers of this gnocchi. I got it also at Grocery Outlet. It was $1.99 a package, and I'm going to use 2 of them because this pot, this Dutch oven, is a 8-quart Dutch oven. So if you wanted to make this for less people or have less leftovers, you could definitely cut the recipe in half. Use less chicken, less of everything else. And then here's the spinach I'm going to use. It is the Popeyes brand, also from Grocery Outlet, also $1.99. I would probably chop it down just a little bit before putting it in the soup, just so it's not kind of straggly on your spoon when you go to eat it. And we'll add the half and half and the gnocchi and the spinach, and I'll bring you guys back when I'm doing that. Okay friends, we have a few last steps here. There is half and half, and I actually have some high fat organic whole milk that kind of needs to be used up, so I'm probably actually going to use quite a bit of that in this recipe. We did put in that 1/4 cup of butter with the roux, so there is a decent amount of milk fat in the soup already. And the gnocchi are coated in like a powder, so it's probably like potato starch or flour, and they'll thicken up the broth a little bit too. But like I said, this isn't a super thick soup. You just want a little bit of body to the broth. There's some spinach chopped up. It's what I could fit on my board. I will probably add more because this is such a big batch of soup and spinach wilts down to practically nothing. There's the broth and the veggies. Everything in there is nice and soft. Tastes really good. Smells really good. Too bad we don't have smell-o-vision because it does smell absolutely delicious. Our chicken's still back there just waiting, and there are our 2 containers of gnocchi. So I'm actually going to go ahead and turn this broth up a little bit, and once it comes back to a little bit of a bubble, I'm going to go ahead and add the gnocchi in and the chicken, and I'll be back to show you guys that. There is our soup bubbling away. The chicken and the gnocchi are in there right now. I'm going to go ahead and add this. It's about half milk, half cream, half milk, half and half. And then I added in a couple tablespoons of flour and whisked it in, just so that will keep some thickness to the soup. You can see it's not a super thick broth, but it's not just a thin like chicken broth either. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. Let that cook up a little bit. Make sure there's no raw flour taste. We'll add in the spinach, let that wilt down, and then this soup will be done. Here's our final product of the chicken gnocchi soup, copycat from Olive Garden. You can see the gnocchi is all nice and cooked in there. There's bits of chicken. I used about 8 ounces of that 10-ounce bag of spinach, and I did chop it down just a little bit so the pieces wouldn't be so big. I added that at the very end to wilt it. You can see it's a little bit creamy, but not super thick. And it's going to have quite a bit more substance than when you get it from the restaurant. I've seen people online anyway joke about getting like 2 gnocchi in their whole bowl of chicken gnocchi soup from Olive Garden. I'm going to go ahead and serve this with some breadsticks that I have in the fridge. You can make garlic bread out of whatever bread that you have, some garlic powder and butter and salt, and you're good to go. Also, if you wanted a salad on the side, you could definitely do that too, especially to make it like a full meal. Or if you're having people over, you can do soup salad and breadsticks or soup salad and garlic bread, just like at Olive Garden. This is, like I said, this is an 8-quart Dutch oven. I'd say it's probably about 7 quarts full, just to be on the fair side. And I estimated it probably cost about $14, $15-ish worth of ingredients to make this. For me, it's not that much because some of these items came from my gleaning organization, like the vegetables, well, not the spinach, but the other vegetables did, and the milk did, the flour actually did, but I kind of guesstimated how much those ingredients would have been if you bought them from the store. And so if you do a 2-cup serving, this will feed, I don't know, about 7 quarts, so 14 people. I guess it would be 14 people. And if it costs about $14, $15 to make, that's about $1 a serving. So much, much cheaper than if you were to go out to eat at Olive Garden. You can make the whole pot basically for the price of, one soup, salad, and breadstick. It's just me and my brother tonight, so I'm probably not going to make salad because he doesn't like lettuce, but I like salad, so it's a possibility. But I'll definitely be serving this with some breadsticks, and there's lots of veggies in it, so if you don't serve salad on the side, it's totally fine. I hope you guys like this video. Sorry if it's a little disjointed. I have not done this in a while, so, hopefully you guys can cut me some slack. I took a little bit of video of my kitty cats while I was cooking, and so I'll probably try and put those in at the end. You guys can just have a little peek at the little animals who live here with me, and hopefully I'll be seeing you guys again soon. Bye. Hi, Oliver. Do you want to say hello to YouTube? Yeah? You want to say hello to YouTube? Don't mind my imperfect kitchen and my imperfect floors. This is my kitty, Oliver. Oh, he's going to show YouTube his tum-tums. He's a big, lovey boy. And we just got to show off our fur babies sometimes. He's got a sister. She's around here somewhere. But that's my Oliver. If I share one, I guess I have to share the other one. There's the sister. That's Iris Marie. Just thought I'd give you guys a little glimpse. She's just having herself a snack.